For the final question, Mark, as you mentioned earlier, you have a podcast and you got big names, especially Seth Godin, and I like the story that you shared. Like it took you 18 or 19 minutes, and you got him on your podcast. That sounds great. That's how I have similar story. I got David Ulrich similarly. I just reached out to him on LinkedIn. I told him about my podcast, and then he said sure, and then we did it, and I'm still in contact. And I'm still in contact with him, which is great.
David who?
David Ulrich. He's the father of the new HR. He's the modern HR father. He has a lot of books. I would recommend for you to reach out or check him out. So the final question is that you interviewed a lot of these high people or Fortune 500 or big names. So what are some of the big tips or takeaways that you can share with my audience that while you're interviewing, they gave you these people that you think that will be beneficial for job seekers or anyone listening to the podcast?
Yeah, so the first one that comes to mind is from somebody named David Meltzer. He is the CEO of Sports One Marketing. He hosts a top podcast as well. He was CEO of the world's first smartphone. Mm-hmm. The guy's made, hundreds of millions of dollars and also lost it all. So he's a very, very wise soul and also a business professional legend. Mm-hmm. And one of the pieces of advice that he told me that really has stuck with me ever since is, whenever people are starting out something new, whether, it could be a new profession or it could be a new business, it could be a new whatever, it could be a new project, it could be a new video series, it could be, posting on LinkedIn for the first time. It's always very reluctant to say, hey, I tried this for a month and it didn't work. Okay? And that means it's not for me. Mm-hmm. And what David told me is he actually gave me the analogy of this thing called a bamboo tree. Mm-hmm. And for those of you that don't know, a bamboo tree, once it's planted in the ground, it will actually not grow above ground. It will actually not grow like the other trees. And actually what will happen is for the first 5 years, I believe it's for the first 4 or 5 years, that bamboo tree will not grow anything above ground, but in the ground, it's actually growing like this deep-seated foundational root system that is going to help it grow. And after that 5th year, what actually ends up happening is the bamboo tree grows to up to like 100 feet in less than a few weeks.
Wow.
So I think that's a really good relation for us as humans. And like the ability and the fact that, you got to understand like where you are right now is not actually your life. And you are just kind of like on this, kind of like how a caterpillar becomes a cocoon and then it becomes a butterfly. You right now are just a caterpillar in whatever you see yourself in doing. And like once you understand that in the future that you have to build for yourself, you can get really patient. And once you do become patient, then that's when you're actually able to do the things on a daily basis, because that's actually how you complete your dreams. So to me, when David told me that, that really just sort of stuck out to me. Another thing I'll tell you about David, and this is kind of like his business sales tip, but I also think it's good if you want to do anything that requires other people to do things for you, which is getting a job. He gave me this really fundamental rule, and this rule has just fundamentally shifted the way that I look at business. Okay, so when I've launched several businesses. I wouldn't necessarily call myself this, but people have called me like a serial entrepreneur. And like I'm still like relatively like an introverted person. Like I'm not too much out there. Like I don't like asking people for things that I want in any kind of sense that it is. Like I like when people come and like ask me, or I like doing things for other people. Like I was never somebody that was able to demand and ask for things, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the rule that David taught me that's really been foundational is this principle of 120, okay? 100 to 20 rule. And what that means, okay? He's talking about money, he's talking about business, but you could also kind of start to relate this in other areas of your life, because I don't create a deal. I don't create a proposal. I don't create a kind of exchange for people where I'm like, hey, here's the job seeker. It's, hey, I will give you 30 hours of my week for you to give me, X amount of dollars. And the thing for me that really started to change that, and it's about the 120 rule, is you don't offer something to somebody if you don't think that you're giving them $100
mm-hmm.
for the $20 that they've given you now. Okay? So
mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do a business deal because, I'm just genuinely a nice person, and it's not, in my mind, I'm trying to make the best case scenario for both of us. So for me, it's not morally okay for me to request a certain amount of money for people if I don't think this is it. And the framework is for every $20 that this person gives me today, I'm going to create $100 worth of value for them in the future. Okay, so if I'm a job seeker, I would be thinking about that, and I would be approaching it with that kind of mentality, hey, I'm going to get this job not for the $50,000 that I'm going to get a year, but it's so I can make this company and the best job, the best case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once you communicate with them, they're going to be more likely to hire you because you're not just about the money. A good example of this is a good buddy of mine. His name is J.T. McCormick. He's somebody I interviewed, and he came from absolutely nothing. His father was a pimp, which for those of you that don't know, his job was to basically deal other women, prostitutes, kind of like slaves. So his father was not the great person. He was, sexually molested at a very young age. He was always poor. He was actually homeless. He went to prison several times. He had to take care of babies when he was just some crazy story. He's an author. He's got a book. He's very famous. It's called I Got There, and he's the president and CEO of this company called Scribe. He's a multi-millionaire. And what he told me is one of his first jobs was scrubbing toilets at this restaurant. And he got it because nobody else wanted to do it. And what he did was, he told me, at the end of the day, he made sure that every damn toilet, he could see his reflection through it. He made sure that he would get down on the floor and scrub that toilet hard and do the best possible job he possibly could, even though he was just scrubbing toilets. And, at that stage, it's not like he could say, oh, yeah, I'm making impact for people. I'm changing the world. I'm this business leader. I'm not this. But what he did was he took that work ethic and he took that example, and he was able to become CEOs of some gigantic, hedge funds and corporations. And that's the message I want to relate to people. It's if you combine that of JT's story of the ability to just do the best damn job no matter what you're doing, alongside the 120 rule of I'm going to create $100 worth of value for this person that's hiring me, or if I have a business to get this client, for the $20 that they give me today.
Yeah.
And once you approach it in that mindset, you're going to go very far, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark, for sharing your story. A lot of great stories there, and I would recommend all of the listeners to check Mark's podcast. And as an end, thank you, Mark, again for being with me through this time and sharing your stories. And those of you watching or hearing for the first time, please like and share, check Mark's podcast, check my YouTube, and if you have any questions, reach out to us. And see you next time. Thank you.